This is CPM Precalculus Chapter 2, number 36. So use the following sum to answer the questions below. Alright, so here's the sum that we were given, and as you see, you add 0.4 to get here, right, from 4 to 4.4, add 0.4 to get from 4.4 to 4.8, and add 0.4 to get from 4.8 to 5.2. But this one, you're adding 0.8. So actually this question has a mistake, because in chapter 2 we're looking at linear sums that change by one value. So this should be actually 3.6. And then you add 0.4 to get to 4.0. Okay, so make this correction. So what sigma notation can you use to express this sum? So remember, sigma notation uses sigma. We have a start in the bottom and a start at the top. A stop point on the top. So using any variable, I'm just going to say n. So we want to start, and this has to be a whole number. It can't be a decimal, and this has to be a whole number. Okay, and we have to use n in our expression here, if we want to have it change. So let's go ahead and look at this. We're starting at 3.6. And we have how many terms? So we have one term right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So you can either go from 1 to 5, or I'm going to go from 0 to 4. Okay? And then all I'm going to do is, I'm starting at 3.6, right? So I'm going to say 3.6 plus n times 0.40, because every time we're adding 0.40. So I'm going to say 0.4 times n. Okay, so this is how I'm going to represent this. If I were to go ahead and plug these in, it would be 3.6 plus 0.4 times 0, right? Plus, that's the first term. When n is 1, it would be 3.6 times, plus 0.4 times 1, right? And so on until we get to 3.6 times plus, 0.4 times 4, right? 4 is the last one. So let's just simplify these. 3.6 plus this right here is 0, so it's just 3.6 plus 3.6 plus 0.4 times 1 is 4.0 plus everything in between plus this one. 4 times 0.4 is going to be 1.6. So you add those together, that is 5.2, and it matches up here. Okay, so this is just checking my answer. Alright, and it checks out to be true. Alright, so let's go on to part B. What changes would you make in the notation to represent the sum below? Alright, so this one you also have to notice, this one has an error in it as well. This one, it should not start with 3.6, okay? It starts at 4.0, 4.4, 4.8, 5.2, and then it has an extra term here at the end being 5.6. Okay, so you can notice that these are all plus 0.04, right, to get to the next term. And so what changes would you make to the notation above? Okay, so what changes would you make to this? Well, instead of starting at 3.6, right, we're starting at 4.0 and we're ending at 5.6. So we still have 5 terms, but let's say if I kept this expression, if I went and started with n is equal to 1, right, then my first term in this one is going to be what we wrote up here, which is 4.0, right? And if I go from 1 to 5, then it's going to give me starting at 4.0 and ending at 5.8, right? So this is how I'm going to change it. I'm just going to change the index, new index, right? Starting at 1 and going to 5 instead of 0 to 4. Alright? And there's many answers that you can have for parts A and B, even using these new corrected sums. Alright? So this is our corrected sums that we're using. Alright. And this ends CPM Precalculus Chapter 2, number 36.